Okay, yeah.
What's that business? What do they do?
Okay. Manipulation, I can't really comment on that in terms of what goes on with other exchanges. You can read as much as you want on that. There's a lot of theories. There's a lot of information out there. What we do on our side is we monitor and we try and weed out as much as we can. We're about to, we have transaction monitoring, and we've got new tools that are spinning up that are at par with most of the larger exchanges like NASDAQ, et cetera, to try and spot any market manipulation. So we continue to, and we are today working on ways to try and minimize on our exchange any manipulation. The second part to your question is what's earn.com. Earn.com, I would advise you to sign up, to check it out. You have? Yeah, so it's a way to try and monetize email. It's a way to, I get so many spam emails every day, and it's a way to incentivizing the receiver to respond to your email. A lot of people, a lot of consultants have taken it up as a way of sort of monetizing their time. So it's a use case which can be built directly into the email protocol for you to accept payments.
Hi there. Hi there. First of all, I love your UI. I think your app's fantastic. It's brilliant. And my question is, you've said as a company that later on this year there'll be a lot more tokens added to ERC20 tokens added to Coinbase, but it seems that seems to be quite regulated as to the US. And you're the UK CEO. Are we likely to have a slightly broader experience in the UK, or ability to buy broader tokens through you?
Yeah. So why do you say that's US focused? Because a lot of what our products are, it's ultimately, the rollout is ultimately depends on regulation. And in some cases, we are ahead in some markets. There are certain projects that we're working on in the UK that may result in us being ahead than the US. And I look after the EU, so we talk about the EU as a single market because of the harmonization of regulation. So there are things that you will notice later this year that launch in Europe first, and I'll get added on in the US later. So that's just mostly the dynamics of getting regulatory approval, getting them up and running. Beneath that, the platform is the same. So really, if we support ERC20 in the US, for whatever reason, if that rolls out first, expect it to be available here in Europe, if not at the same time.
Okay, that's great. So there could be some UK exclusives, maybe, I don't know.
There could be some products that come out here sooner than the US, sure.
Hi. The slide that you showed that had the buckets between financial products and utility products was really helpful, and it was really clear to kind of understand the way that Coinbase thinks about its different solutions in the market. On the utility side, what can we expect from Coinbase? Either next in terms of a new offering, and also how do these kind of come together as maybe into kind of one strategic direction? I'm just thinking about Earn and the commerce solution and Toshi, kind of how do they eventually kind of come together maybe as something that's providing kind of a holistic solution for consumers?
Sure. A lot of that's driven by the market as well, in terms of what the consumer needs are. So we have our ear to the ground in terms of what most consumers are asking for and what we're working, and therefore that dictates what our roadmaps look like. Ultimately, the utilities could range from commerce, which is a payment instrument, to other utilities like staking, tokens, which are part of other ecosystems, like I had BAT up there, for example. So there's not a single approach in terms of utility. We're not committed to one path. What we do have is an open mind in terms of where we think the needs sit for utility, and that's what we'll try and build for.
Thank you.
5 minutes.
Got 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
Hi.
at the risk of stating the obvious, I mean, we all know that one of the major points that is going to make the whole thing succeed is adoption. And looking at this room, reading stats online, the vast majority of people following cryptocurrencies, blockchain, are men. So unless there are a substantial amount of women that start getting involved, I just don't see how this can really become mainstream and get the vision that you have accomplished.
Did you say a substantial amount of women start getting involved?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because at the moment, I think roughly it's around 5%, and you just got to look at this room, and it's probably true. So, are there any plans from Coinbase to start targeting female adoption? So, if I think, for example, of online casinos, I see like Pink Casino, that they run specific ads for women, and that's one way for them to try to reach out to them.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there's a real opportunity because this industry is so young for us to have a better balance in it compared to traditional finance. So we as a business are very aware of that. Actually, if I've got my phone on me, I'll show you, I can't put it up on the slide, but I'll show you a photo of a poster we have in our office, which has a quote from a lady named Alexia Bonatzos, and it says, that's a poster from the office. Women consider crypto before men get all the wealth again. So we are very aware of that. We're very conscious of it. The first employee resource group, I think it's called ERG, we have in the business is Women in Crypto. So this is the first employee group we created. And our activities range from speaking at meetups and events that are targeted at women. I'll be at a Women in Payments event in October in Amsterdam, speaking, trying to get more people into this space. So it's a challenge we're very familiar with, we're very aware of. And I think as an organization, we're actually doing a lot of conscious effort to try and address that imbalance.
A question on e-commerce, which crypto really require to move into it in order to succeed as a means of payment. There are two things on the customer side that crypto does not really provide today, and two things on the merchant side. So on the customer side, that's chargeback and refund, and then on the merchant side, it's free trial and recurring. So currently, modern crypto infrastructure does not allow for those things. Those are crucial for proper big-time e-commerce to move into crypto. What's your opinion on that?
So, chargebacks and refunds, are chargebacks necessary? I mean, chargebacks don't exist in bank transfers, right? And actually for merchants who I've worked a lot on in terms of managing their risk, I see you guys are passionate about chargebacks. So you're from a merchant that's... Sure. So if you say it's a pain for merchants, then does a system without chargebacks make that better? Sure. Yeah. Sure. So that's a refund that we're looking at. So the chargeback is for people that are not familiar with what a chargeback is, it's a very specific term for Visa and MasterCard in terms of where you can go to your issuing bank and request the money back. There are reasons for it. It needs to be fraud, it can be goods not delivered, it can be goods not as described, it could be a bunch of things, right? So you've got 4 types of different chargeback codes. I think chargebacks are one of the biggest headaches for merchants. And what you're looking to create is a more fair system where if you have a dispute, those disputes can be resolved. Today, that control sits with the merchant, and I think there's an opportunity as crypto matures for that control to perhaps sit with the merchant and for there to be a rating system on whether a merchant offers refunds or not. That's Amazon's entire business model. That's how they keep chargebacks down. So I guess what I'm saying is you don't need to have chargebacks, that dispute mechanism within the protocol layer. Like you don't have that on the cash, on a £5 note, but I believe that you can have that within the actual terms of the transaction. Sure. So the point that the lady made is, as a customer, you have the right to ask for your money back. Yes, if the service has not been delivered or consumed, and there is, and you've got the distance selling regulation, and you've got all the rules around that, right? So it's not really a matter of choice, though. Like in Europe, you as a merchant often need to comply with the Consumer Protection Act. So I think, once again, what we want here, or what we're talking about, is not what can be done at a protocol level, but what can be done as a layer on top of that to reassure consumers that they are safe transacting with this business. And that's the piece that we need to do. I'll quickly wrap up on that. I do think that the consumer aspect of it requires some more evolution. There's no room for mistakes, for example. So being able to, I'm being told to be quiet, to finish up. So being able to build those in for it to, I think it's critical for mass adoption to make it more consumer friendly. Is my time up, or? Okay, that was the last question. Thank you very much for having me.